right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're getting things set up here, but that's the edge of the stage. I'll be careful. I already promised I won't fall off here. Awesome. Thank you all for being here tonight. Super cool to get to celebrate together the episodes and the stories that the caregivers in the wild have shared tonight. I think we got to start off by saying one thing, is that season 1 of Caregivers in the Wild happened to win the best lifestyle or factual series for the Alberta Media Producers Association last year. Yeah. So there we go. And I have no doubt if we submit for anything this year, we'll have another one up there in the future. So thanks again for being here. I mean, one of the things I love about these screenings is the people that show up for something like this, they're sort of like the coolest people, And so I think we should start by everyone just high-fiving 5 people around them and saying, "You're awesome," because you're all awesome for being here. Yes, high fives. High fives. Yes, there we go. Yes. Wow, you guys are really into that. I love it. Great. I always say, people who are willing to watch stories like this and talk about stories like this, they're the people I want to hang out with, right? And I would say everyone in the series, every one of the caregivers who came, all the professionals who came on the series this year, man, it was just so cool. The conversations we were able to have around the campfire while we were doing all these activities. Tonight is going to be a chance for us to reflect back on all those meaningful moments that we had out in the wilderness. And you guys are getting a behind-the-scenes look at it. We're going to share some behind-the-scenes stories. We're going to talk with all the caregivers that are here tonight. We'll get a few people up to tell a few stories. So not only will we get to watch all the episodes, we'll get to hear what happened behind the scenes to make them. So it's going to be super fun. Before we get started, though, tonight we have an episode that we'll watch right after the intermission called The Nature of Healing. Cynthia and Cheryl were in that one, and we've invited Cheryl, Shannon, Grey Eyes, and Lyndon. You guys can come on out here to open up the night for us, and I believe they're going to sing something. And Cheryl, we'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mike. Tansei. Tansei. Oki.
Okay.
Tanitada. Abawatak. Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
How's it going?
Hey.
It's good to end in Canadian. I know. My name on my taxes is Cheryl Chagnon Grey Eyes. I am Cree from Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, Treaty 6, Saskatchewan. I wish to kindly acknowledge that we are on the land here in Calgary of the Treaty 7 people. Calgary, it is known in Blackfoot as Mokinstis, which means elbow in Blackfoot, and it's because we're at the conjunction of the Bow and the Elbow River. I acknowledge the fact that we are in Treaty 7 land by acknowledging the people of Treaty 7 land. The Blackfoot from Siksika, Gaina, and Pigani. The Dene from Tsutsina. The Stoney Nakoda people from Morley, Chiniki, Bears Paw, and Good Stoney First Nation. Here in Calgary, we are in the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. I honor the fact that I am Cree and I'm also Métis. And I'm very honored to be able to share the stage here with my grandson, my Nosims, Lyndon. I have a riddle for you. How do you make Cree grandparent potatoes? You cook them and you mush them. How do you make Cree grandparent potatoes? You cook them and you got this. And I'm a cookum, and I have 5 beautiful grandchildren. And I'm very, very proud to be here with my youngest grandson. We want to welcome you, as is tradition in the Cree way, with a song. This song is called Miyasin, which means beautiful in Cree, and acknowledges your beautiful spirits that you've brought here to share tonight. Miyasin was written by Joseph Nato-Howe of Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation in Saskatchewan, and we always acknowledge where our songs come from. Miyasin, normally when I sing my songs, I sing them in rounds of 4 to honor the teachings of the medicine wheel, but this song's special, and we sing it in 3 rounds with purpose and intent to include each and every one of you and your beautiful spirits that you have brought here to share today. This is Miyasin, the Cree welcome song. Miyasen, miyasen, asemina, asemina, epetakote, giwagomagan. Ota, oma, kitaskino. Miyasen, miyasen, asemina, asemina, epetakote, giwagomagan. Ota, oma, kitaskino. Miyasen, miyasen, asemina, asemina, epetakote, giwagomagan. Ota, oma, kitaskino. Welcome to each and every one of you and your beautiful spirits that you have brought to share tonight. And thank you, Dr. Mike, for the chance to share it. And thank you to your beautiful staff for making this happen. And to all of the caregivers and their families and supporters who've come out to show their love for those caregivers. Thank you. Hey, hi.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Wonderful. Man. We're going to get to hear a little more from Cheryl, as well as Cynthia, once we watch their episode. But Cheryl would always say, let's make sure we do things in a good way. And I was like, yeah, this is a good way to start it. So thank you, Cheryl, for doing that. So without further ado, let's just watch an episode. And tonight, we're opening with Rico's episode, The Nature of Commitment. And for anyone who knows me, you would know that I think mountain biking is ridiculous. It is just so dangerous. You know, like you're going down things you should be skiing down, not mountain biking down, right? It's just crazy. And so thankfully, though, we found someone who happens to be a stunt and fight coordinator, and so he knows how to take a hit. And he came with us, and he just said yes. And we'll get to hear more from Rico afterwards. But yeah, it was committing, to say the least, heading down these mountains on mountain bikes. So without further ado, here we go. The Nature of Commitment, Rico's episode.
Oh no! Oh, you okay, Aaron?
I'm okay. Just wanted to tackle that post.
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As both a health researcher and adventure guide, I've seen how spending time outdoors can enhance the well-being of family caregivers. Downhill mountain biking is one of the few outdoor sports that I've never done, and although Rico hasn't done it either, he's up for anything, being a professional stunt coordinator. Rico is also about to marry his best friend Shelby, who has a chronic health condition. Together with counselor Aaron Weiss, we'll talk about the foundations of successful long-term caregiving relationships while hurtling down the mountain on two wheels. This is Caregivers in the Wild. So you're gonna help us from newbies to experts in one afternoon, right?
In 3 hours.
Yeah.
In 4 hours.
Yeah. You guys ready?
Yep.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Yeah. So talk us through that turn.
So getting into berm corners, come in with a little bit of speed, lay off the brakes so you can pick it up, make sure your feet are level, and looking to the end of the corner where you want to go.
What? Oh no! Oh, God.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Good?
All good. Man down.
Look at that, no blood. Awesome. That's mountain biking.
He is a professional crasher.
He knows how to fall.
Mid-shift.
Shelby was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. So it's a genetic autoimmune disease, similar in a vein to arthritis. She's described it as like her bones are on fire and are like too big for her body. And it can flare up at any time. Like she's woken up in the middle of the night just crying because the pain has gone so bad. Sometimes she can go like weeks or a month with like nothing. Sometimes it's like a daily thing.
Whee! Oh God! Woo!
Oh, big turn.
Good save. I saw that, Rico. You could see his tire like go.
Depending on like the level of pain, either putting her in a massage chair that we got or running a bath, just kind of keep her calm and like help her focus again. Conversations I've had with her, it's like, are you a little bit more stressed? Are you cold? Are we eating too much of this one type of thing?
As soon as you point like that, it just like leans.
Yeah.
I love it. We're gonna earn that giant steak that I bought all of us.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Using every inch of the trail right there.
Whoa! Oh, Aaron. You okay? That was a big one. Oh, you got a little blood. A little blood.
That was from before.
That was from before?
I ate some dirt.
Yeah, you did. So we always do high points and low points. What about you, Rab?
High point of the day, I think, watching the progression from first thing this afternoon to everyone actually got smiles on their face.
Feeling more confident leaning into those curves and really starting to kind of find that balance point as you're going at speed.
I feel like my other low point should have been watching Aaron's crash, but
that might have been a
part of me
high
also
point.
thinks it was pretty cool.
Somebody's got to do that.
Somebody's got to be the stuntman here.
I get to hang out with this amazing human being, so I'm never feeling like I'm missing out. All I'm doing is helping her be awesome.
We can build in us, a negative outlook so quickly when we're like, I keep giving up for you, rather than I'm investing in you, I'm pouring into you, and it's coming back to the greater aim here, which is us.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Like, I know exactly what I'm getting into, and I wouldn't want to change it for the world.
Yeah. So tomorrow, we're upping the ante. 3 newbies biking down an entire mountain. Will we survive tomorrow or not? You ready for this, Rico?
Let's do it.
I believe in us.
There we go. We got this.
Yeah, man.
I'm just going like, don't hit Rico, don't hit Rico.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Ah, good. Whee!
Where'd Rico go?
Oh God. Oh God.
Hey, go slow.
No, panic. Panic. Ow. Woo-ha.
You okay, Rico?
Yeah.
Wow, man. We're freaking downhill mountain biking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Oh.
Oh God. You okay, Mike?
Yeah. Couldn't let Rico have all the fun.
Yesterday, I felt a lot more chill.
Yeah.
This has been a lot more of, I'm just gonna throw myself over this little hill here and hope to God I don't die.
Watching, you just committing to the corners, the turns, everything. There's a strength in you to just be like, you know what, this is gonna be hard, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
It's so easy when you're like, this is what I'm not good at, rather than look at all these strengths, look at all these abilities that I have that I can invest into what I want to commit to.
Yeah, and that totally aligns with a strengths-based approach to caregiving. And what I really liked about what you were saying last night is, look, Shelby, I'm your best friend. You're naturally choosing to focus on the strength of your relationship instead of on solving caregiving challenges, right? And as you do that, those challenges feel less daunting.
Right, yeah.
As committing as mountain biking can feel, it's nothing, compared to marriage. So I thought maybe you could write a letter to yourself, and I will mail it to you in a year from now.
Sweet.
And it's just an opportunity for you to sort of like point towards the end of the turn and look into the future.
there's naturally going to be a hard points in the relationship. But when those moments happen, you slow down, maybe you get off the bike, but you get back on because you love that person, so you keep going.
When you think about mountain biking or a long-term caregiving situation, it's all about commitment. You know, where Rico's at right now, it's just really cool to hear about how he's committed to his best friend. And by helping each other become awesome, they are setting themselves up for a really awesome future together, no matter what health challenges come their way. All right, here we go. Rico. All right, Rico's story, man. I think Rico's on his way up here right now. But man, watching that again, I get cold sweats. Remembering looking down this mountain with that bike, and it was terrifying. But as you can see, it was also amazing. It was super fun and really meaningful. Really quickly, while Rico comes up here, wanted to do a shout out to Kicking Horse Mountain Resort, who hooked us up last minute with setting all this up because we had something else canceled. So we literally planned this 2 days before and we shot it. And Rab and Jim, our mountain bike guides, they were awesome. And then of course our wonderful Airbnb host, Kat and Taro, whose wonderful barn ended up being like a big part of the episode. So I think, Rico, are you back there? Yep. All right, come on out. Let's hear it for Rico. Yes. Awesome. Cool, man. Well, I guess the first question probably everyone wants to know is you seem pretty chill and unflappable in the episode, but how afraid were you really?
Oh, terrified. Absolutely terrified. Every time going over that hill, I'm like, I'm probably going to die.
Man. When we were, we only put in like half of the crashes, by the way. We could have made an entire 7-minute crash reel. And
most of it
man,
me.
Oh man, I mean, one of those ones, the drone one, you fall like 20 feet.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize how far I'd gone until seeing that. I'm like,
I walk back to your bike. It was amazing. It was so fun we couldn't have done that with anyone else, I think. And so, man, Rico, you're amazing. So I got to ask you a little bit about the episode though, because man, that idea of making each other awesome, man, what a really simple, cool sort of way to think about a relationship, a caregiving relationship, right? How can we make each other awesome? That conversation that we had in the barn, it was like an hour and a half long, and that was just one little snippet of it.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, what do you remember from that conversation that was meaningful for you that maybe didn't make it into the episode?
Didn't make it into the episode.
If you can remember that long. By the way, Rico just recently got married. I think we should give him a round of applause. Yes. When was it? When was the wedding again?
October 15th, so just over a month ago now.
Okay, a month. Wow, that's awesome. Oh wait, we should also, where's Shelby?
Right there.
Shelby, there she is. In the back, everyone. Raise your hand, yeah. Awesome. Very cool to have you here too, Shelby. So anyway, back to the question there.
I think one of the really cool points that we were talking that didn't make it in. I guess it sort of made it in, but then got clipped off. Was just Aaron talking about how we can support each other through different means and not, like he was saying, not focusing on the negative aspect of things.
Yeah.
But really kind of always focusing on those positive things. That was one of those real key things that I kind of took away with, because it really marries well with stage combat. Thank you. Yeah. Which is in itself just an art of telling stories by doing everything you can to make the other person look awesome. So it was that idea of, even from a counseling aspect, of you really need to help support each other. Because when things get bad, that's when you need each other the most.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it was awesome. We talked a lot about stage combat on that trip. It was super fun. And just the parallel even between, the way that when you're fighting someone on stage, the goal is to make the other person look awesome, right? And that's where one of the ways that idea sort of got incorporated into the conversation was Rico sharing that with us. And me and Aaron look at each other like, that's that's great. It's like, I didn't know if I would learn something about stage combat on this trip, but man, that was a really great takeaway for me. Is that, there's lots of ways we can make each other look awesome, but focusing on that instead of focusing on all the ways that caregiving is difficult, all the things that we have to give up, all the difficulties there, focusing on what you do well, right? And that idea of focusing on the strengths it's such a powerful idea, I think, for lots of family caregivers out there. So that's awesome, Rico. Well, I have a couple more questions for you.
Shoot.
A simple one, is the idea. Oh, wait, what? I don't know what I was going to ask you there.
That's like a lot of my notes.
Yeah.
Make sure
why do I even write these down? I don't even know. I'm just going to throw them over there. But so I mean, it was a while ago since this happened. But is there something that stands out to you that happened sort of off camera? That was something you decided that you would take away, apart from that conversation. What else?
One of the things that I really took away from was this idea of, and this was kind of more of an internal thing that that we never actually got a chance to talk about, was that even in the moments where I was starting to get frustrated, especially when I started falling down a lot, and they started kind of happening one after the other, was that idea of like, even as I was getting frustrated, the support that everyone was offering, be like, hey, it's okay, just get back on, and we're right here. We'll go at your pace, and we'll really kind of help support you while you're finding this tough. And I thought that was something really powerful, because it always feels like you're always doing the supporting. So remembering that you do have that wider network that is there to support you was something that helped when things got tough to like get back on the bike and keep pushing through.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the coolest parts about that trip for me was me and Aaron and Rico had so much fun together, despite the hardship, right? Of us being afraid for our lives, literally. And but man, that conversation that we got to have on the top of the mountain there.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Was one of my favorite conversations I think I've had with a group of guys before, right? Because it was very authentic and organic, and we were literally excited for what each other was talking about and learning in the midst of this very difficult day. And to me, that was just like, I also love how we look like total badasses up there.
While trying not to be blown away, because that wind was
so windy. Yes,
wow.
Yes. But I love that. One of the things I really appreciate that I'm taking away from this is just that ability to demonstrate men having good conversations about things that matter, right? And also push ourselves physically and do things that are hard, but also have these good conversations. And I think that's something that we need to model a little bit more. I think I mentioned that to you.
You did.
I was like, Rico, you're going to be a role model for a lot of guys out there to actually be willing to engage with this stuff and talk about these things, right? So last thing.
Yep.
I mean, I may or may not have an email from Shelby saying that she was crying in a good way as she was watching the episode. But have you guys talked about it? And what were those conversations like?
We definitely talked about it. We talked about it when the episode came out. And it was, just that idea of, trying to think of the best way to put it. It was verbalizing those unspoken things of like, because a lot of the times you think that the person always loves you and this is their opinion of you, but it was like actually talking about those things and being like, we are in this together. We are friends, and we're not sacrificing anything for each other. What we're doing is we're moving forward together, which is making doing the remodeling right now very much easier prospect. When we know that when things are going a little crazy, that we're there to help support each other.
Yes. They just bought a condo a few minutes from here, right? So they're doing that as well. Well, Rico, man, I think it's amazing, just to hear, just even that idea of verbalizing these things that go unsaid in caregiving relationships. That's super important, for I think for a lot of caregiving relationships, make sure that we're saying these things to each other, not just thinking that they already know it, right? I think that's something that's good for any relationship.
Oh, for sure.
But definitely, it's very cool to hear that you and Shelby got to have some good conversations.
Yeah.
So awesome. All right. Well, hey, let's hear it one more time for Rico. Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Well, now I actually need my notes because I need to know who's going next. But Rico was super fun, man, on that trip. And so now we are moving on to another episode called The Nature of Support. And this one, Ashley is there. She is. Ashley is in this one. And, Ashley signed up for this how far in advance? Maybe a week or two? 2 or 3 weeks. And talk about just throwing yourself in the fire and hoping you make it out alive, right? And I love how Ashley just said yes to this. And I can't wait for you guys to see it because it was a real legit adventure. So here we go. The Nature of Support.
I might need to pee in my suit now. Just do it. Just let it go.
I can't do it!
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As both a health researcher and adventure guide, I've seen how spending time outdoors can enhance the well-being of family caregivers. Ashley feels like she's caregiving 24 hours a day as a mom, pediatric nurse, and primary caregiver for her partner Daniel, who was diagnosed with ALS 5 years ago. Together with Dr. Lisa Belanger, a behavior change expert, and our guide, whose name is FX, we are about to drop into a steep canyon and learn about the systems of support that can help us provide care to a loved one with a terminal illness.
This is Caregivers in the Wild.
The most graceful.
The most graceful thing you can see is someone try to put on a wetsuit. So flattering, these things.
Yeah.
So what has it taken for you to sort of plan and organize trips like this and get the skills to be able to do this stuff?
Well, organize this day, it took me about 25 years of experience.
Yeah.
And organizing a canyoning day is to being able to see the big pictures, and then you're breaking it down in small sections. And each section has its own challenge and its own hazards and risk that you gotta mitigate. 1, 2, 3.
I've been taking care of my partner who has ALS. He was diagnosed, and then a week after that, we found out we were pregnant, and then, and his health has just been declining slowly. He was in a power wheelchair. He was able to kind of get around, do his own thing. And then over the last 2 years, I guess, he's just been needing more help progressively. I feel like I'm a nurse 24 hours a day. I don't have a 5-year plan anymore, just a 5-day plan. Oh man, my legs are shaking.
So what we have here, the green line is me, I'm in control. This is your lower line. If you ever let go, this is your backup. How's that? So you're deciding how fast you want to go.
There we go.
That was terrifying.
That was amazing. That's not easy.
It's one thing if you're I have to make it through for 3 weeks. It's very different when you're this is life. But when we get exhausted and when we get frustrated and when we have a lot of things coming at us, it's really difficult to manage. So setting up systems that encourage you along the way and keep you at your best.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, is going to be a little more intense. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Yeah? So knowing that we're going to be doing some more rappels, what does that make you feel?
I feel okay, because I know FX got me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we have a jump. It's the point of no return. So as we jump here, it's very hard to go back up. The easiest way is just to keep going forward.
Taking care of somebody, and things aren't gonna get better.
Yeah.
See, things are probably just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
So, but you still got to do it anyway.
You know, you think about something like ALS, you know,
Yeah.
there's really only one direction. And once you're in the canyon, you know, you just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
There's no getting out. And I think, you know, what Lisa was talking about yesterday, having those systems in place, you know, in order to help you, I think is a great sort of idea.
Just gotta find someone to help me do it.
Yeah. Yeah, a guide.
Yeah, I'm always asking for help for like someone to watch over Daniel so I can get stuff done, but it's normally like chores or something. And it's hard to ask for someone to come so I can just have time to myself.
Here she goes. You got this.
Even though I like kind of like fell in the middle and like had my knee up against the wall, like I'm halfway down this waterfall and like like there's no going back right now. I just kind of like took a breath and got back up on my feet and went back down the rest of the way.
Doing it.
Once I got to the bottom, I felt so proud of myself. That was actually like a lot of fun.
I've never been ziplining before.
Never been ziplining?
No.
At first, I was like kind of terrified because I've never done one. So I was like scared that I was gonna go flying into rocks really fast. They've done this lots before, and like they're not gonna just let me fall.
So you sort of had that inherent trust coming in because they
Yeah.
were a guide and they knew all the things they'd
Yeah.
been there before, right?
Yeah.
You know, like all the knots they tied in those ropes today was crazy. You know, like the little things that are life and death. You know.
When you think of systems, it's anything to hold you up so that in the worst times, in the busy times, in the stressful times, these things still get done. And so I would love to push you to think about systems to help you as well, because you are the CEO. So like, you can talk to a friend, somebody, and just say, I need 2 hours a week.
Yeah, this is your time kind of thing.
But that it is consistent, you know you can rely on it and you can do whatever you need and want with it.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many possibilities for simple systems like that, right?
Yeah.
Like having a family member schedule your oil changes into their calendar, or having someone else coordinate childcare for the same afternoon every week, or you know, like maybe a family member could create a meal plan and do all the shopping 1 week every month,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like so, yeah. But like Lisa said, the only way that works is if it's something you don't have to think about at all, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, but you know, with a few systems like that in place, who knows how much more time that would free up for you to create more memories with Daniel.
Awesome. Yeah. A great episode. Really quickly, as Ashley's making her way up here, just a couple thank yous for FX, of course, and all the guides at West Coast Canyoning for keeping us alive. There was literally like 1,000 ropes out there with us. It was amazing. You didn't even get to see them all, but they did a lot of work to keep us safe in that canyon. Also for Leslie at the ALS Society, who literally hooked us up with Ashley 3 weeks before, maybe 2 weeks before we went on that trip, and just finding us the perfect person, right? Who's willing to jump into something with 2 feet, and yeah, just for all the logistics, I would take time maybe to thank Lisa Bellinger, who is here in the audience. She's been up here on the stage last year. She's been in a number of episodes. So thank you, Lisa, for just being so awesome and having so much to contribute to those episodes. And then of course, our wonderful crew, Joel and Phil, who are out there. I forgot to mention Joel's nickname, which came from the mountain biking episode. He had all the body armor on. Then he had a big canoe barrel on his back with a camera in it, and he looked like someone straight out of like Fury Road or something like that, Mad Max. So we named him Battle Axe. So that is now his nickname, Battle Axe. So you can call him that if you see him on the street. I'm sure he would love that. All right, let's bring Ashley out here. There he is, Battle Axe, everybody. All right, come on out, Ashley. Let's hear it for Ashley. Yeah. Go for it. Awesome, man. Well, I mean, again, there's so much that happens behind the scenes in that episode, but I'm sure the number one question most people have is why were we jumping backwards into all those puddles? And so let's see. This is the trick or the quiz. Why do we do that?
When we like fell
When
backwards.
you fall
like
backwards,
that.
like starfish in there.
So when you fall backwards, you like have more surface area. So if you went down like this, you just fall down and hit the rocks.
Yes, you got it. She got it. She got it. FX, if you're watching, you've taught her well. Yeah, it's crazy. Some of those pools we're falling into are literally this deep, and you can't tell. But that's why you have to starfish, or else you hit your butt on the bottom. So, and that's just a standard move in canyoning. So as you can tell, canyoning is the most graceful sport out there. In addition to putting on the wetsuits and everything else. So
exactly.
So I guess another follow-up question. I guess that probably people are wondering. How are you and Daniel doing right now? Where are things at?
Well, after the episode, I went to Nova Scotia for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then I brought a nasty cold back and gave it to Daniel. He ended up in ICU and the hospital for a couple weeks. So he is home now. We have a lot more machines. I'm no longer working. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a big change.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, one of the things we talked a lot about on that is just ALS being such a heavy caregiving burden, right? Like it's very time intensive, it's emotionally exhausting.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And like we said, the canyon actually is a pretty good metaphor, right?
Yeah.
And there's you have to figure this out. And so, so one of the things we talked a bit about is, finding some guides, some trying to create some systems of support.
Yeah.
And so, where do you have you been able to do any of that since the episode? I mean, we haven't been able to connect a whole lot. But.
When he went in hospital, because he's very hard, he can't communicate very well. His brothers and I came up with, we had the number and letter board that he used with blinking, and then we created our own board with his like common requests. The three of us didn't leave them at all, so we did kind of shift work. And we helped out the nurses there because they couldn't communicate with him, so we were there to communicate his needs. So, and since he came home, the brothers come over once a week. Like one will come over in the middle of the week, one will come on the weekend to give me a night off because we have caregivers, which has also changed since he went in hospital. So instead of coming 4 times a day, now that he's strictly tube fed and not eating orally anymore, we now have caregivers coming in for 6 hours straight. But then the other 18 hours is up to me or his brothers or his kids.
Yeah. So I mean, so you really did. Like there's lots of systems that you put in place.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about his brothers, right?
Yeah.
And you said they were already supporting, and it's just really cool to hear how that was maybe turned into more of a system. Like the days of the week, and I'm sure things are fluid and flexible. But man, when you're responsible in the way that you are, I think that's something. And we've shared these online, and we've gotten lots of comments from people talking about this idea of how they needed a guide. They needed someone who'd been there before. And then there's a few comments about people talking about systems that they're going to try and implement. And someone specifically said, I'm calling my brother right now to schedule my oil changes. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, like just that little stuff makes all the difference, right? So it's cool to hear that you've been able to implement some of that stuff as well as you're going. So I mean, a big part, I mean, this really was a huge adventure.
It was.
We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, and it was like an adventure of the best kind, right? So what was something that stood out to you from the actual activity that we did? You talked about your rappel, but was there anything else that you really remember that you really liked in that trip?
I mean, all of it. But I remember the very first rappel where, no one showed me what to do and just threw me straight in.
I know. I said, Ashley, do you want to go first? And I think she was too afraid to say no. And so we just clipped her up and down she went. Found out afterwards she was terrified.
Yeah. Well, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, no idea.
No one went ahead of me
to
show me what to do.
Yeah. And then we jumped right in a pool and went down a water slide right away.
Yeah.
So it was definitely...
I'm glad you guys didn't get the blood in there
The blood, oh.
Remember my nose?
Oh, she got a nosebleed. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. There was bloodshed. Yeah, bloodshed in every episode, I'm pretty sure. So, but yeah, there was bloodshed for sure. What else happened on that trip that you remember that maybe didn't make it in the episode?
Oh man, there was so much.
Yeah.
I'm just proud of me and Joel for not peeing in our suits. So.
I know, they were the only ones. Lisa said she couldn't do it, but I'm pretty sure she did. I did it multiple times. I have no worries. And I actually had a conversation with them once, and then I told them, I'm peeing right now. And they were not weirded out by it, so I think that shows we were bonding at that point. We were bonding. I always feel like if an adult can have a conversation with another adult while they're peeing, then they're connected. They're connected. But yeah, that was pretty fun. The wetsuits was an adventure. I would say, one of the things that didn't show up in the camera that I really loved is we had this car ride from one canyon to another. And man, we just had like the best conversation on that car ride. And it was like a 3-hour car ride. And man,
I'm pretty sure you're going to invest in some dash cams.
I know. I was just like the whole time I'm thinking, why don't we have the video cameras in this car with us right now? But we did talk about a lot of that stuff again, in the episode. But man, it sort of just reminded me of how important it is to have adventures, right? And to get away from these everyday experiences. Because, that's, that 3-hour conversation is something I don't have with people every day, right?
No.
Like a really meaningful conversation where you have nothing better to do but to talk to the person next to you, right? I loved it. And I think we had I think Lisa was driving. What were we driving? We were driving like a
Beamer.
A Beamer. Yeah. We had a Beamer rental car. From now on, we're getting Lisa to get the rental cars. They just upgraded her right away to a Beamer, and we're like, yes, riding in style down the coast highway, the sun's setting, having a really meaningful conversation, and yeah, that's something that really stood out to me, and I remember a lot of what you were sharing, and I thought that was really meaningful. So final question then. One thing that you're sort of taking away from sharing this story with others. I mean, you've shown it. I'm thinking to friends and family and things like that.
Yeah.
What have you heard from them?
A lot of people are surprised that I did it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are happy also I got away because I am kind of housebound for the most part. So I don't know.
That's it. They're happy for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think one thing that I've also learned is there's never a good time to have an adventure.
Right.
It never fits, right?
No.
And so you just got to, when you get a chance, go for
Week
it.
or two notice.
Yeah, week or two notice. I love it. Well, one more for Ashley. Yes. It's very cool. Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, wonderful. Cool. All right. We got one more episode, and then we're actually going to take a little bathroom break, and people can go out and get snacks and stuff, and then it'll just be a quick 5-minute, and then we'll come back in and watch another one. But the one that we've got now is called The Nature of Fear, and yeah, there's a little bit of fear. Maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. We're pretty good. We're going to talk to Curtis afterwards. We're pretty good at masking our fear, but we decided to talk about it anyway. So here we go. The Nature of Fear. Here we go.
How did you take?
All right. Nice one. We went higher than last time.
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As both a health researcher and adventure guide, I've seen how spending time outdoors can enhance the well-being of family caregivers. Both Lisa and Curtis have never ice climbed before, and they have another connection. Both are raising a child with Down syndrome. Curtis is also the director of a program that helps families prepare their children for school, and Lisa is just about to begin that process with her daughter. Together, we hope to learn how to overcome our fears on a frozen waterfall and when caring for children with unique needs.
This is Caregivers in the Wild.
Oh, that's cool.
Look at this. This is cool.
That's way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
We're going to kind of do a little walk around to practice being comfortable on our crampons, on flat, sloped ice, and everything in between. And then we'll get to vertical ice once we start to climb.
It's definitely a different way of walking.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring it back. Oh. Swing through my shoulder.
Oh, that was a good one.
My daughter Raven was diagnosed with Down syndrome just after she was born. We knew what it meant, but we didn't understand what it would all involve. So while we had our many tiers of just like, what does this look like? There was a lot of things that we found really comforting in just kind of acknowledging that you never know what you're going to get. You never know how your child's going to grow up. So she's now 4.5, and of course, like compared to a typical child, she walked a little later. She's still working on her words, but she's bright and she's adventurous and she's curious, and she almost has like no fear of anything. Like she's so in the moment that I can feel myself protective and fearful of really letting her out there into the world.
High fives all around, Curtis.
High fives all around.
So what was it like for your climbs?
It was definitely hard. It was super challenging.
Yeah, it's a different feeling for sure.
Most of the time, nothing of your body is actually in contact with the wall.
Yeah,
and it's just
true.
like, and when you think about that, you're like, oh my gosh, like, of course I was hanging on too hard, but.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself a helicopter mom, but I know Raven, and she's busy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's challenging just knowing where she's at and knowing that boundary of letting her be the free spirit that she is, but keep her safe. Because
What's an example of where your heart sort of stops a little bit as a mom, and you're sort of like,
she runs away.
She runs away.
She runs away. Does Jake run
Oh,
away?
yes.
Yes. Just like going to the park, puts her boots on, leaves.
It's a real fear. Like, we've lost Jake, and it's been very scary, and you've got people looking for him, and a lot of caregivers, like myself too, it's that like, I don't think you often realize how much energy it takes to be on alert all the time, right? Like, you're constantly in the back of your head thinking, okay, where are they right now? Are they safe? Is the door locked? What are they up to? It's a little too quiet right now. It's like, and so it's that constant state of being alert and having to know where are they, what are they up to? I think a lot of people don't realize how exhausting it is.
We're hitting more ice up here.
It's just around the corner now.
Whoa. That is amazing.
Yeah, that's about 80 feet of water.
Yeah, it is. So is it pretty different every time you come up here?
Oh, very.
Yeah?
Yeah, this wall changes like significantly. Even from like 1 week to the next.
So who's going first?
I'll go first. I'm ready.
You ready?
I think so. Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Put your climb on.
All right, Lisa.
Here we go.
You got this.
You are on belay.
Yeah.
Good technique. Look at that. How's it feeling?
Oh, everything hurt.
Yeah, yeah, take a break. Are you going all the way?
I don't know.
You're getting close. Yeah, there it is. So close. Look at that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Powering through.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Woo! You
Nicely
just
done,
went for it.
Lisa.
Are you kidding me? That was amazing.
Hey.
A line that I use with myself and when I talk with other families who have kids with Down syndrome, I use it a lot too, is it's check your no's. So if you're saying no to something, like where is that no coming from? Like, is it coming out of a place of fear, or because you're tired, or you don't think that they'll be successful, or where is that no coming from? And check that. We so often, I think, can default to just saying no, it's too dangerous, it's too this, it's too that. So how do you overcome that? And maybe I can turn that no into a yes today.
Awesome.
Well,
all right.
I made it past half. I'll live with
You
that.
definitely did. You were pretty close, actually. Yeah, man.
It's okay to be scared and it's okay to have reservations, but in that sense of checking your nose, it's like, where's that coming from? Trying to keep that, more present in all of my decisions, whether they're for myself or for my family.
Every single time someone comes to that waterfall for a climb, it's gonna look and feel different.
Yeah, I mean, that itself is probably a really great metaphor for being a caregiver for someone with Down syndrome. Like, it's the same goal, but it's gonna look completely different because every child is so unique.
encouraging my daughter to go experience something new, for Raven to have her own experience. It can't be full of my fears and my apprehensions.
Awesome. Great. Well, Curtis is making his way up here. Just a quick thank you to Frontier Lodge and our ice climbing instructor, Josh, who was a real trooper. We were out there, I don't know if you guys could tell, but it was minus 32. Maybe you could tell by Curtis climbing in a giant puffy coat, you know, and working hard, and still we couldn't, it was amazing how cold it was. And also Lisa was amazing for just powering through that freezing cold ice climbing together. So, you know, we went from the heat of the summer in the canyon to the freezing cold waterfall in the winter. But man, that trip was amazing in so many different ways. So, Curtis, we'll welcome you on out here. Oh, he's not ready. Wait a second. I will make a joke about, let's see here. What do I say? Stage combat. This is my best combat. That's it. Curtis is here. Awesome. Thanks, Curtis. Awesome. So many of you may not know this, but me and Curtis go way back.
Yes, we do.
His little brother is one of my best friends. And my earliest memory of Curtis is of him playing video games and me and Craig sneaking in with a mattress and throwing it on top of him and then jumping on the mattress. And then he would just pick us up like nothing and throw us across the room. So he has like legendary old brother strength to me, like older brother strengths. And so anyways, it's been a while since we hung out though. And I was pretty excited that you said yes to go ice climbing.
Yes.
Because when I showed this to my friend Craig, he said, "How did you get Curtis to do that?" So I'm assuming ice climbing is not normally your jam.
No, I wouldn't say this is something that I typically do. No,
Yeah.
This was very, very new.
So why'd you say yes this time?
I love the concept of the film and what you're putting together, and I just thought it was such a neat story to tell, and just hearing more about Lisa and kind of her journey and kind of what you're trying to put together with her, I thought, yeah, you can't say no to something like that. I mean, as crazy as the idea sounded, I was like, you know what? I am not in peak physical shape right now, but I am going to just say yes and then
and see what happens.
Trust the process and see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, man, we had actually so many amazing conversations, and I think this episode in particular was the hardest to edit because we could have gone in like 10 different directions, and all of them were really meaningful. And we decided on this one just because we thought that idea of, you know, checking your nose is such a profound thing for any caregiver, but especially I would say anyone with children. You know, there's lots of things we say no to. And so so when you're working with other families and things like that, you know, what are some of the things that you know, with a child with Down syndrome that you end up like defaulting to no? What are some of those situations people find themselves in, apart from the running away that we heard?
Yeah, and it is a tricky journey. Like you said, for any parent, I mean, as a caregiver, you want to protect your child, whether it's a child with a disability or not. But, you know, having a child with Down syndrome, there is that extra layer of you want to protect them, but you also want them to be active and included in their communities, and they need to be pushed and encouraged to participate in their groups, and that can be very scary. And so knowing that sometimes what's the best for them is to take a step back and to not intervene and to let them take a risk is a big challenge. And so it's something we're constantly, I don't think we'll ever reach a point where we're like, oh yeah, no, we're good now. It's probably an ongoing and lifetime kind of reminder.
Yeah, so it's something that's great to come back to over and over again, right? And I mean, you literally do this for your career, right? You're helping people get their kids into a school in their neighborhood. So tell us a little bit more about PrEP, just because, you know, I want to hear about it.
Yeah, for sure. So we do services and supports for kids with Down syndrome, 0 all the way to 18. We do educational and therapeutic support, but really the whole purpose is we want to give kids with Down syndrome the skills that they need so that they can have the best possible opportunities for inclusion out in their communities, whether it's at school or in recreation groups and sporting, whatever that looks like, and supporting parents and other support network professionals as well as part of that journey. Knowing that kids with Down syndrome, if you set high expectations and push them and encourage them and give them the support that they need, can do amazing things. And society's come a long way in understanding and realizing that, but I'm blown away every day with what our members are doing and alumni are doing and what they're accomplishing, but they just need that extra support and time and resources to do some of those amazing things.
Yeah, and I think especially, this idea of checking your nose, I mean, that's even more profound, I think, for kids, for parents who have kids with Down syndrome, right? Because, in order to see what they're capable of, you sometimes will have to say, okay, I'm not going to say no right now and see what happens, right? And how would you ever get there if you didn't do that, right? So.
And there's that extra layer too of it's not just checking your own nose, but we talk to families literally daily where they're getting no's from society all the time too, right? It's well, we don't think they're quite ready for this, or we don't think they should really be participating in that, or not sure if that's a safe environment. So it's not just our own no's, but it's society's no's too, and it's challenging that as well and those expectations and saying, you know what, I think they could do it. I think if we gave them a chance, they might surprise us. So,
I love it. And what I love about this is Curtis, he talks about this, with families all the time. He also lives it, doesn't he? He went ice climbing, he's, initially when I called him, I think in the email I said, hey, is there anyone at your school, or in your organization who would want to come? And then it was sort of quiet for a while, and then I said, hey, did you find anyone? And he said, I think I want to go. I was like, all right, man. So it's cool, to hear you talk about this, right? But then also to live it, right? I think that's you're sort of living out these values or these ideas that you're communicating to the families, and I think that's pretty cool, right? And so I think we should give Curtis one more round of applause for that.
Thank you.
Cool. Sorry, I have one more question.
One more question.
Sorry, everyone, that was preemptive applause, but he deserves it because he's amazing. One thing that you're taking away from the episode, and maybe, I don't know if you showed it to Jake, but how did he respond to it?
I think actually, watching the episode again, it was actually a good reminder to myself. It's one of those things we talked about that this is a lifelong journey, and watching the episode I was like, oh yeah, that was really clever what I said. That was pretty wise. I should probably implement that more often and remind myself to do that more often. And so Jake's reaction was quite funny because the kids were like, did you make it to the top of the waterfall? And I was like, I didn't quite make it all the way to the top. And then Jake just looked at me and said, it's okay, Dad, you tried your best.
There we go.
I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys noticed at the bottom, Kurt could barely lift his arm to give a high five. He sort of goes like,
that was a bit of a struggle for me, but I tried my best.
You tried your best. I love it. Hey, from the mouth of babes, wisdom, right? Yeah. So awesome. Okay, now let's give Curtis one final round of applause. Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for doing it. Awesome. Great. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Go out. You can use the bathroom if you walk out the doors and around the next corner by the elevators. The bathroom's at the end of the hallway. Grab some water. When we come back, we will watch the Nature of Healing episode with Cheryl and Cynthia. And so we'll see you all back here in a few minutes. Ready, set, break. I just wanted to say really quickly, hello to everyone online with us tonight. I don't know if you guys know this is being live streamed right now, and there are lots of people watching online who couldn't be here in person. We're going to meet a couple caregivers in our second last episode here tonight that couldn't be there, Chris and Nolan, and neither of them could be here. But luckily, Phil is here, who will tell us some wonderful behind-the-scenes stories. We got lots of stories from that episode. It was a blast. But we are going to start with the Nature of Healing episode. And, this is one of, I guess, a couple this year where I had no idea what to expect going in. It was really awesome. Cheryl and Cynthia had the ideas, and they said, let's do this and let's do this. I'm like, yes, I'm in, and so I'm really just grateful for them to let me sit in on this experience and just go along for the ride with them. So here we go, the Nature of Healing.
It was discovered in 1971 when they found one of the best kept secrets in North America.
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As both a health researcher and adventure guide, I've seen how spending time outdoors can enhance the well-being of family caregivers. Cynthia is a member of the Stoney Nakoda Nation and has chosen to become an advocate for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls after experiencing that same injustice in her own family. Together with Cheryl Chagnon Grey Eyes, an elder of Cree and Métis descent, we will spend time out on the land, engaging in ceremonies and talking about the challenges of being a caregiver for families facing the devastating loss of a loved one.
This is Caregivers in the Wild.
You guys feel that calmness?
Mm-hmm. I feel it. You hear the wind in the leaves?
Yes.
And the birds?
Yes.
And you don't hear any traffic noise?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When was the last time you were able to do something like this?
It's been a long time. It's been since 2017. It's been go after go, day after day.
Hi, Cheryl.
Okay, dance.
Okay.
Mabota. Oh, hello, my girl. How are you? When you give tobacco, it is from your heart to my heart to Creator.
Great. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So we thought we'd go for a walk, and then you're going to take us medicine picking. You and Cynthia have never been able to do this together.
No. We tried.
Making it happen. That's awesome.
Thank
you. Cool. Well, yeah. Let's get situated, and then we'll go do it.
Awesome.
Go for a walk.
Oh, this is so cozy. I love this. I love sleeping in a teepee. I know, it's like coming home for me.
I've been a caregiver all of my life. I have 6 children and 19 grandchildren. To me, there's no beginning and there's no end because it's just what I was brought into. With MMIW, it was my choice, because nobody was caring for these families at all. If somebody's missing, the family members will get a hold of me and ask me if I can keep an eye out on, helping them look for their loved ones. I'm talking about their stories to other people and going to marches and hearing their names being said. So that's how I caregive. I make them realize that they're important. And I never got that when that happened to me. I care so much. It's what I go to bed with when I sleep. We need to start healing within in order to help heal everybody around us.
While I was singing that last verse, I was looking up and I was thinking about our sisters in spirit. There was this flash of red dresses in the trees. And I know that we're here. And we're surrounded by spirit.
Is this a really emotional activity? Like when you're here, it just comes out?
Every ceremony I go to, I cry. I have to let it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And leave it there.
Yeah. You've done this with lots of women. What do you see occur for them as they're out here?
We always come, okay, we're going to get sage and we're going to smudge with it, and that's the purpose. However, once you get here, because you're on the land, and it's connected to a lot of spirit, it's about healing.
The plan for tomorrow is we will try and find the
Iniskumumapi.
Iniskumumapi.
You got it.
Yeah, so we'll do our best to find it.
Cheryl, tell us a little bit more about the medicine wheel.
So far, it's gone back to 5,200 years old.
Yeah, wow.
So it's older than Stonehenge in Britain. It's older than the pyramids. Thank you, Creator, for blessings received. Thank you, Mother Earth, for the gifts of your bounty.
Since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to come here. And I'm here.
I loved watching you walk around the rocks. I could sense the weight being gone, right, being lifted.
Thank you for bringing me here. I needed this.
Yeah, come on over. I was thinking back to sort of my experiences in life in the circle. To me, it's a picture of community.
Yes,
right?
Because a circle has no beginning and no end.
Yeah.
And it shows that we're all interconnected.
Mm-hmm. You guys ready?
Yeah.
When you lean back together, you can all support each other.
That's right. And very much a good metaphor for this weekend.
Yes. I think, many caregivers carry around emotional wounds as a result of their work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think engaging in ceremonies and rituals that are meaningful to them could be a place to start healing.
You have to do that. That healing process needs to start now so that we can carry on for that next generation.
Yeah, Cynthia and Cheryl, man, that was such a meaningful experience to get to be a part of it. I just really quickly, as they're coming up here, a couple of thank yous. First one to Blackfoot Crossing, which has the teepee village that we stayed in. They were amazing. They, opened it up on a weekend. They weren't open and everything just so we could be there. And if you guys haven't been to Blackfoot Crossing, you got to go. It's amazing. It's a really cool spot. And so make sure it's just an hour and a half drive east of the city. So go check it out. And then also I wanted to thank Josie Nepinick, who was originally going to come on the trip. For years she's ran something called Owtan Healing Lodge, which is sort of a women's shelter here in Calgary. And she couldn't come. And I said, Josie, who can come? And she's like, I know. And she called Cheryl, called Cynthia, and so she's the reason that we all got to have this great experience together. So yeah, let's bring on Cynthia and Cheryl. Come on out here. If they're there, they are. All right, come on out. Awesome. Oh, there's Cynthia. All right, she's coming down. Come on out, Cheryl. We'll chat a little while Cynthia's getting her microphone on. We got to hear the same song, but in the episode, and it's sort of cool to get a little more history of that song. And just as Cynthia's getting ready to come out here, there's 3 songs in the episode, and right, we know that they have different meanings. So maybe tell us about the song we heard in the teepee at night, and then the final song at the episode. What are the sort of the meanings of those?
It was lovely being in the teepee that night, and the song that very appropriate. It's known as a Cree healing song.
Mm-hmm.
It's also called the crying song or the wailing song.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the first songs I learned on my journey on the Red Road of Indigenous Spirituality.
Okay.
And it's very appropriate because the drum beat is that drum beat we hear before we're even born.
The heartbeat.
The heartbeat.
Of course, yeah.
And it connects us all as 2 Lakers on this planet in a good and kind way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first song that was a song we sang inside.
In the teepee, and then the final one.
And then the final one is known as it's a Coast Salish song, and hi Miss Cynthia, and it's known as the Woman Warrior song, and it is sung it started in Vancouver on Hastings Street to honor the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. And we sing it all across Canada now to honor the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, knowing that all the music has meaning, right? And I mean, the Women Warrior song is the perfect song to sing on top of the hill, looking out over the landscape. You know, both of you guys there. I thought that was a really cool moment. In addition to actually finding that place, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But man, we drove for hours through the desert of eastern Alberta, as you guys saw. You know, and I don't know how we found it, but we did, and it's amazing that we got to go there together and to be in that space. But Cynthia, I have to ask you a question right now, and then we'll sort of keep chatting a little bit. But you know, there's a couple of really emotional moments in the episode, right, where we could tell in the moment you were feeling a lot, and so I wanted to ask, you know, now sitting in the audience watching it back, what has it been like for you to watch and relive those moments?
Well, I watched it over and over since you sent me, and going over it in my mind, it was like, because I've never done anything like this before. Cheryl knows I have a hard time speaking at visuals and protests. It's sitting here in the audience and looking at it, I feel a lot of support. And just walking in here and feeling at ease, because it wasn't accepted before. Like, we weren't allowed to talk about certain things. You know, I wasn't allowed to growing up. And for me to express how I really feel was a big struggle for me, a really big struggle. I had to let go of a lot of stuff that I carried for 30 years, 20 years.
Yeah, I thought, you know, that was something that was amazing about being out there, right? Is we you know, we get to talk so much, right? Like in this one in particular, like we were in that teepee at night for, I don't know, like 4 hours. You guys got to hear so many stories of the stupid things I did as a teenager. You actually know more, you know, probably know more than my parents who are in the audience right now. You know, just because we were just sharing stories and laughing and having fun, you know, and then there's other moments that are very intense, very emotional, lots of sharing. And I think one of the things that I really took away from the weekend is that emotional range that caregivers have, right? Is in the moment they can be really, you know, really emotional and share a really meaningful conversation, and then a few minutes later be laughing. And I thought that was what was so cool about our time together. It's how much fun we had in the midst of some of those difficult moments, right? And the emotion that came out during the ceremony, and you know, it was just really cool for me to get to be there with you guys, is what I'm saying. It was amazing. So I appreciate you sort of welcoming me into that little community, that little circle we had over the weekend. And so I wanted to ask Cheryl a question. I'm going to ask you a couple more, Cynthia. But you know, Cheryl, sorry, I want to make sure that I ask you the right question that I was looking for here. Here it is. You know, you know, the drumming and the singing, you know, I just wanted to know, what was that like for you with the cameras around? Just because I know you've done a lot of things on stage in public before, but it was something, it was so quiet and still, we were by ourselves, and yet there's these cameras out there also. And so what was it like for you to sort of have the cameras sort of in on this experience?
It actually really didn't bother me too much. I think probably because when we are doing things out in public, when we're doing the visuals and the walks, and when we're sharing in a good way, it's not just cameras that surround us, there's also spirit that surrounds us. So we never do anything alone. We're never alone. We're surrounded by our loved ones on the other side. And so when we sing, even though we may be by ourselves, we were not singing alone. It's like when we were singing when we were at the medicine picking. We were surrounded by spirit. We could feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you both felt it, which is really, you know, at the same time, you know, you say, and you could see, you know, how emotional in those moments, right? I guess you could both feel it together, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, you know, as you know, someone who hasn't had a whole lot of interaction with, you know, different Indigenous peoples around the country, you know, part of what I sort of wonder sometimes is, you know, when to enter into spaces and when not to. Right, and so asking about filming something like that was a big, it was a big question mark for me, whether I should do that or not. And I feel like there's probably lots of people out there, maybe people who are watching, who wonder, when do you step into places and when do you not? And when do you, and so I just wanted a question for both of you guys, how can people know a good way of doing something when they're interacting with people, the different Indigenous peoples across the country?
Well, for me, it was kind of opening for me, because I intend not to share my upbringing, and there's certain ceremonies that we're not allowed to talk about, right? It can't be shown on camera. So that was a big one for me. But again, I thought about reconciliation. I thought about, well, how are they gonna learn about us if we're not showing what we know, right? How to pick sage, how to live off the land, how to pray, and at these visuals, we have to control the crowd. We have to make sure everybody's okay. To console them, because it's pretty overwhelming. It is. And we're taking on all of those spirit names. We're taking on those names that have passed on. And like, for instance, when we got to Blackfoot Crossing, I was tired, coming from trial, coming from the courthouse. Bam, I'm right in, Blackfoot Crossing with
some random guy,
some
random guy.
I have to sleep alone with 3 guys. Right?
Separate teepees.
And separate teepees, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big, it was, you would never catch me doing that, ever, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was all about regaining trust back.
Yeah.
Because for so long, I lived without trust. I lived without trusting people, because I had to look after me. And then I had to look after all of these women and all of the families, and just be there and just be present for them. And that's what gave me that motivation to carry on and heal.
Yeah, I love so much about what you just said. But I think it's really important to acknowledge the vulnerability that you had in many different ways to come out there with us, to spend 2 nights out there, right? To be on camera talking about some of these very difficult things, right? And I think I love what you said about how are people going to know the stories unless we share them?
Yeah.
And man, what a profound sort of way that I think goes both directions, right? We need to make sure there's sharing stories and there's listening to stories. And man, we talked a little bit before about this idea of truth and reconciliation and how people sometimes, what does this mean, right? And then I don't know if it was you, Cheryl, someone shared the idea of reconciliation as relationship. And I was like, wow. I mean, I can't change policy in the government and stuff like that, but I can have a relationship with someone, right? Yeah. I can be their friend, right? And I can sit and listen to their stories and share some of mine. And so for me, that was just a really cool thing to learn, this idea of reconciliation as a relationship. And I think that's something that everyone can do, right? No matter who you are, no matter where you are in society, no matter what sort of role you have, everyone can have a relationship with someone else that's meaningful, that matters. And so for me, that was a huge takeaway from that weekend together. A little emotional thinking about it, but it was just really cool that you guys chose, right? That both of you chose to have a relationship, and that I was able to step into that with you guys. So that circle was really special. It really was. And I mean, that moment up on the hill, right? It was really cool for me on many levels. But, I had this idea of the circle, and of course, Cheryl just explains it so much better than I would have. And then we leaned back together, and my favorite part is Cynthia leaned so far back. And I was just like, that's just like a perfect symbol of what you did that whole weekend, right? And so yeah, final question. The idea of caring for the families, of murdered missing Indigenous women. I mean, we all sort of met when we were doing something called the Sisters in Spirit Walk. Tell us a little bit, really quickly, Cheryl, about sort of what that walk is all about, and you know what occurs while you're doing this vigil. And I guess maybe, either one of you, but maybe Cheryl.
We that's how we met, was actually at his Sisters in Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's about, the reason I march is because it's to remember those who have gone over and to ask for justice and not stopping until we get that justice and keeping it front and foremost. And it's about that healing journey that we all need to take. And I gotta give credit to you and your crew, because you made it a very safe place for us and a very safe space. And we felt very safe and welcome and warm and connected, both to the land and to your crew, to you and your crew. You were wonderful. And you made it easier for us to be able to open up because of that. And it was good, because healing isn't just for us, it was for you guys too.
Yeah, totally.
And it was very much about recognizing and honoring that we have sorrow, but we also have joy. That's why we laugh so much. We got a lot of joy.
Yes.
A lot of joy.
There's a lot of joy.
And it is about, the reason we march is to continue to bring sight and vision to those who are left behind.
Yeah.
And just like you take care of your family. And you take care of those who have been murdered. And it's not just they're gone. They leave behind families, children, grandchildren. They leave behind brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and grandparents. And it's like a ripple that goes through the community. And it's a ripple of hurt. And we need to also do that ripple of healing to help us move forward in a good and kind way.
Yeah. Yes, ripples of healing. That's a great one to end our conversation on, because I think hopefully, it's something that will ripple out from this story. And just so you guys know, this story really exploded online, and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views and thousands of comments and likes and shares. And it's really already, you can see the ripples in many different ways. And definitely I'm one of them, right? So, and I'm sure everyone here is now part of that story too. So, so yeah. Let's hear it one more time for Cheryl and Cynthia. Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay. Happy to give you a hug. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Great. All right. Yeah, it was a great adventure, for sure. It was an adventure of a different kind than jumping off a cliff and going down a waterfall and mountain bike down the. And it was definitely very different than the one we're about to watch, because what you don't really see is it was 40 degrees Celsius that whole time. And it actually got hot enough, it melted my rearview mirror off my truck. and so we're going from plus 40 degrees Celsius now all the way to minus 42, which is when this next episode was shot. And so here we go. Here's the nature of trauma.
This knife can do everything.
You do it all. Okay.
A working knife and a bush knife.
This is the knife I have. Is that good enough? My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As both a health researcher and adventure guide, I've seen how spending time outdoors can enhance the well-being of family caregivers. Nolan has faced a lot of caregiving challenges growing up in a military family impacted by post-traumatic stress disorder. Luckily, he likes a good challenge, and together with survivalist Chris Arends, we are heading out into the mountains in the dead of winter to build a survival shelter and talk about being a caregiver for someone with PTSD.
This is Caregivers in the Wild.
Oh, there's that wind.
Yeah.
Oh man, minus 42.
Doesn't get much colder.
It's gonna be cold. How do you feel about this, Nolan?
I hope you don't screw me over.
I'm not. You got this. Chris has you on belay. So try and dig your toes in there. Yep, there we go. Nice. Nice, Nolan. Yeah.
So grew up in two different households with a a parent with PTSD in each one. So a lot of the times, like, I don't know, the battery's dead, so we got to bring it in. And, whoever will get so angry, and the person behind the counter thinks it's them. So I have to be like, all right, listen, go over there, I'll deal with it. So then I have to sit there and go, sorry, it's not you, it's not anything, he's mad at the battery. So I have to explain it's just them coping in their own way with the situation that's just been handed to them. And so the interpreting of that is almost like another language. You have to see both sides.
Wow, this is cool. I think there's a little nice tree up around the corner here. We'll go check and see if that's a good spot to stop, eh? We get rid of this snow, sticks and everything along here, like something to keep a wall, and then we'll put the snow up against it, right?
Sure.
I can see it already done, like the hot tub's here.
Yeah.
Put the fridge
Hot tub
there.
over there. Yeah.
My dad and my stepdad taught me a lot of how to just survive in the wilderness, what happens if you get lost, that type of stuff. Like, I'd be doing the same thing with my dad in my backyard.
Yeah.
We'd make like a little snow fort, whatever. It was just a way for Dad and I to like bond over the same thing.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of yourself as a caregiver?
Never.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. You don't realize something's different until you talk to people, and then you're like,
yeah,
I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
I've only ever known this.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not something special. It's just life.
It's just life.
I just have to. So I never really thought about it as taking care of someone.
Yeah, I mean, your role is really different in that you had to be able to recognize, the cues of when your parents getting like wound up, right, and helping them calm down, and that seems very unique as a caregiving situation.
This stuff's cold and it's wet.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to warm it up. We've put some sap in there, and sap's really good for catching fire.
Take it. There you go. At least my hands are warm.
It must be nice, eh?
It's warming up the hands. So, based on what you know, how would you describe PTSD?
In military and veterans, it's quite common to see kind of signs. A lot of the times it is just anger of not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Or major depression. A lot of times you can tell on their face when they're severely depressed, and that usually comes with PTSD. But usually it's like you would never know somebody has PTSD.
Before coming out here, actually, I talked to a psychologist who works with veterans who have PTSD. She said, a lot of times if you have an emotion, it's like a log, right? You just leave the fire here, it burns out. And so if you can just sit with someone and that emotion just sort of dissipates, then, you can move forward after that. But the problem is when you start throwing more logs on the fire, like, I shouldn't have done that, it's all my fault, I'm never gonna be a good dad. That's when things get hotter and hotter and hotter, and it leads to...
Now you got a forest fire.
And you got a fire.
Yeah.
If there's no one there to pull you out and to keep you from throwing more logs on the fire, that's when you get into trouble.
Yeah.
Right? You described that really well. Yeah, we're gonna keep the fire going for a bit. Boil some water. Sheesh, it's like a blizzard. All right, I guess we'll tear this guy down, hey?
And then I hopefully bring my kids out to do something like this so they can feel what this is like. To feel cold and tired and then wake up to this beautiful, sunny, magical winter snow globe day.
Yeah. Nolan and Chris, one word how you're feeling right now in this moment.
Cold. No, I'd say probably proud and being able to spread how I get through it and what I can do. Hopefully somebody somewhere sees it and goes, maybe I'll use that. Maybe that'll help me.
I will. I know I will.
Yeah.
100%.
I know we all will. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, man. Well, you should be proud. Chris?
First, right off the bat when you said that, just the perseverance, like putting yourself in a situation that might test you. It's good for your caliber.
Yeah.
Right? It'll help you take another step forward and make you a bit stronger.
I think I'm gonna have to say impressed. That would be my one word. I'm impressed that we did it.
I have no doubt, man.
I know you guys had no doubts. I had a few. And I also learned so much, about
being an interpreter for others and like a fire supervisor, making sure that those emotional bonfires don't get out of control. And I think those are two ideas that could really help caregivers who have loved ones with PTSD.
There we go. Nature of trauma. Just because I know that Nolan's mom, Larissa, is watching online, I did not tell him to not wear a jacket the entire episode. I promise you. I tried many times to get him to put a jacket on. You can't tell how cold it is by him wearing a sweatshirt like that, but it was very cold, and it was still an amazing time. Honestly, there's special people who want to go and sleep outside, and when it literally got down to minus 42 that night, it was so cold. It was so cold. Again, I just want to just say thanks to the Frontier Lodge staff that helped us out and pointed us towards some deadfall so we could build ourselves a log cabin, and also Ernan, who's the program manager there. He did an amazing job of just helping us out with all the needs that we had. So unfortunately, Nolan and Chris are not in the Calgary area, and so they could not be here tonight. So instead, we have our wonderful videographer, Phil Harrison, who will come up here and regale us with wonderful stories of the many adventures he had. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Philip Harrison.
This was unexpected.
It was unexpected. Sorry, Phil. I do that. See, this is part of our relationship, is I get him to do unexpected things. For example, hanging off the side of a frozen waterfall for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That was a really wonderful adventure he didn't know he was up for. So, Phil, first of all, let's talk about the episode. What do you remember from the episode itself, and something that you maybe didn't make it into the cut, but sort of that sticks out for you?
I think you said it. It's hard to tell how cold it is because they refuse to dress for the weather. The only thing that gives it away is like the perpetual beardsicles.
Yes, the beardsicles, yes. I kept breaking them off, yeah. So what was like filming in that?
Oh, it's so challenging. Like minus 35 is kind of normal. I have to do that like at least once a winter. Mm-hmm. But minus 42 the gear barely works.
Yeah.
Like they talk about how challenging yourself. It was also challenging the gear because
yes, the
displays on a camera is a liquid crystal display, and so it's actually liquid and it freezes, and all you see is like a ghost image of what you're actually seeing.
So Phil filmed all that basically without seeing anything he was filming. So
and another recurring thing with the series is like Mike's always like, I want to do a drone shot.
I love the drone. What can I say?
And it's always something nearly impossible. And he says, Phil, what temperature are your drones rated to? I'm like, 0 degrees Celsius.
That's what they're rated to. Come on.
So you saw when it was blizzarding, he's like, I want to get the drone shot of this. Can we do it? I'm like, I don't know.
See, the problem with Phil is he says yes. If he says no, I'd be like, okay. But
so I'm like, let's try. So I put it up full stick into the wind, and it's slowly going away from us.
And the wind starts picking up, gusting more, and we're like, we're going to lose this drone. It's going to blow into...
Well, luckily, we caught a little break. It came back. I'm like, we're landing now. Yeah. But what you actually remember is, like, they have the military background, so I remember that. Trying to get that drone shot, and Nolan and Chris are doing their own thing and laughing, and I'm like, I got to get them in position because the drone's...
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys got to go now, and their military instincts kick in, and they're like snapped into position.
Yeah. Yes.
We got the shot.
Yes, we got the shot. We got the shot. Yes, using that authoritative voice. Man, there were so many fun things. I'll just share one story from that trip that was really funny. We were at this Frontier Lodge where they have a bunch of students who were there for like an outdoor adventure sort of thing. And so we ate dinner with all these students every night. And one night at the end of dinner, they always do announcements. And one night when it was about time for announcements, Chris happened to be in the middle of a very detailed and I guess grandiose description of how you can pee without getting out of your sleeping bag. And just as the person rang the bell and stood up to say, we have announcements for tonight, Chris is over here saying, and then what you got to do is you got to, and he's dig this trench, and it gets so quiet, and everyone just slowly looks over there. And Chris's back is facing everyone, and literally all 60 people are sitting there listening and looking at him talk about how to pee without getting out of your sleeping bag. And then eventually we got his attention, he stopped, and he turns around, and he's like, oh. And then the person doing the announcement says, so, I have a few announcements for tonight. And it was the most awkward moment. It was the best. It was so funny. We laughed about that for like 45 minutes on the afterwards. It was so hilarious. But yeah, that's Chris and Nolan had a great time together. They're best buds by the end of this. Just having a laugh at me at my expense most of the time. Yeah. And so that was a really fun episode to film. And also really meaningful. It was really cool. You know, Nolan hasn't really traveled across the country before. Yeah. He hadn't hung out with a bunch of random people before in that way, you know, and really pushed himself in a major way. And so I love what he said at the end, right? I feel proud. I feel proud of what I've accomplished. And it was really cool to get him to hear say that.
He really pushed himself, for sure.
Phil, one more story from the series, behind the scenes story that you wanted.
Okay, I've got a funny one, but I have to talk about that episode specifically. Is what a lot of people don't know, and I shouldn't tell you, is I got to sleep in a cabin.
Yes. Phil, everyone thought you were so hardcore now.
Which was amazing. But the worst part about it was, so they sweat all day and night and then climb into this shelter they built that's full of smoke. And the smell when they came back into the cabin where I had slept was so atrocious.
I didn't realize it.
It was unbearable.
It was so bad. I didn't realize it until after I took a shower, and I was like, what is that smell? It's like, that's your clothing. Oh, yeah.
But one of the funniest stories, you might remember this, Mike, was with Rico's episode. We stayed in lovely Airbnb, dubbed the barn, and had these wonderful like miniature horses and chickens and Mike and I opted to sleep in the living room, and everyone else had bedrooms. And Mike remember me waking him up to something that sounded like this, like, what the?
Yes.
And being
very
in the
scary for me.
barn, after waking up, a mouse had crawled across my face while I was sleeping. And I have this nice hair that I had to fling the mouse out of my
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I just remember it like crawling across my eye, feeling it and waking up to that.
It was an amazing scream, you know. It was very high pitched and hilarious.
Yes.
And I laughed for about 45 minutes after that as well. So I love the hair crawling mouse. It just makes my day sometimes. So I mean, Phil, we just throw him in all these situations so often. So Phil, thank you for putting up with all these crazy things we make you do, and for making the series look so awesome.
Thanks.
So let's hear it for
these
Phil.
Adventures.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome, man. Great. Thank you. Yes. What we didn't talk about is the number of times we crashed the drone. And there was one time we crashed it into the cliff wall. It sunk 30 feet down to the bottom of the river. And I took off all my wetsuit and stuff. This is on Ashley's episode. Swam down there. I couldn't see it. My fifth dive down, I'm like, there it is. I grab it and I pull it up, and it was like the most empowering moment of my life, pulling this drone out. It had all the wonderful footage of the canyon and stuff. And we found it, and we put it in a bag of rice, and we flew it the next day. It was amazing. So anyways, shout out for DJI. Your drones are amazing. So the final episode of the night is going to be The Nature of Choices with another Ashley Jones. And so we're going to get to watch that one before we close things out. So here we go. Ashley's episode.
My name is Dr. Mike Lang. As both a health researcher and adventure guide, I've seen how spending time outdoors can enhance the well-being of family caregivers. Ashley is the primary caregiver for her 9-year-old daughter, who has many complex and life-threatening health challenges. Routinely making life and death choices for a loved one can be overwhelming. So together with Dr. Lisa Belanger, a behavior change expert, we are climbing a big mountain to talk about how to prioritize the choices that matter on the mountain and in life.
This is Caregivers in the Wild.
There you go. Popping the tag off. Brand new pants.
They're mine.
Nice. Now they're yours. Yeah.
However your fingers like to lie, I end up with sort
And
of
we're not holding it by the
pointing down the
handle?
shaft. This looks mean, but it's not that useful.
Yeah.
So this is what the climber will do, and that's what you want to look like.
Victoria is 9. She's born with a brain injury, so she has cerebral palsy, vision impairment, epilepsies. You know, there's periods where she can't stand up, and there's periods where she can. There's not a whole lot that she's doing independently on her own. We spend so many days in survival that even the basics are just, you know, outside your grasp.
How much of the climb tomorrow will be like this?
That steepness?
Yeah.
There'll be like 3 or 4 pitches of the rope like that.
Yeah. All right.
So it's this one.
There you go.
And then this one.
That's right.
And then axe.
Yep.
You're trying to do the education, and you're trying to do the social, and you're trying to do like the personal fulfillment. And then you're also just trying to keep a human being alive. I'm so stuck with where we're at. And I just don't know how to unstick myself.
There we go.
That's tough. So you want them really close?
Close together.
Yeah.
And your feet level with each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa. Wait, you didn't do your move.
Oh, like this one?
Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
It's really hard for me to plan things like this, or commit to planning, or like plan and then handle the disappointment.
Yeah.
But also I do like doing hard things because I can make them stop. This I can make stop. I choose to do this. So.
Yeah, it's different, you know, because there's lots of parts of your life that you can't choose, right?
Your feet feel so different in these boots because you don't feel all the rocks underneath you.
We're gonna go up this a little bit, and then we'll cut across.
Oh, right on the tip of the moraine?
Yeah. The decision we have to make is whether or not we want to climb the lower part of the ice. We have an increased rockfall hazard and also steeper climbing. I'm sort of leaning towards just sticking with something a little bit safer. We'd still follow the glacier, but we would end up not doing the technical ice climbing.
Okay. So how do you guys feel about not doing the technical climbing?
Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah? You're cool with that? All right.
I'm cool with that.
Great. The choices, like out here, they're like pretty simple. Like what is gonna keep you safe and what's not?
Well, look at the glacier. No fish without the basket.
We all have a capacity to make decisions. The more decisions we have, that takes away from our capacity. And then it ends up accumulating into a fatigued state or a paralyzing state.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you think about caregiving, a lot of caregivers feel like pretty significant decision fatigue, right? Like they make so many choices every single day.
Yeah.
You got this.
Physiologically, that was a very uncomfortable few minutes. There's the element of I got myself into this situation, now I gotta see it through. Also, Grant wouldn't have told us to go up there if he didn't think we should, right?
How you feeling, Ashley?
Well, I'm glad we're not going back down now.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, look at all the clouds and mist coming off those. Well, hey, Grant, how much further do we got? We got
2 more summits.
2 more summits?
Yeah.
All right.
Way to go, you guys!
Yes! Yeah!
Way to go!
With epilepsy, sometimes a couple times a year, we have to think about, okay, is this the time where we need to decide whether or not we're doing compressions, whether or not we're extending life?
Yeah.
And it's really hard because so far she's bounced back really strong. And I want to push and give her every opportunity, but I don't want to preserve life. Or like, how did you say it?
They keep people alive.
I don't want to keep her alive.
You want her to live. Yeah.
And that is such a fine line. And you think, oh, was I willing to give up too fast?
You're literally making life and death choices
All the
on a
time. All the
routine
time.
basis. And then you have to think about, okay, what are we having for dinner?
It takes so many people to raise a complex kid.
Yeah.
So what am I good at? What can I provide and what can I excel at in this? There's things I can't give up. Some of the decision making, some of the caregiving has to be me. But then if I look at my skill set and what I want to offer my kid, what am I really great at?
Yeah, and ultimately the easiest decision is the one you don't need to make yourself, right? And so, when you allow others to make those more mundane choices, like what's for dinner, that frees up your capacity to make the bigger, more important decisions as a caregiver, right? So you can both really live.
There we go. Ashley, come on up there, Ashley. Yeah, while she's making her way to the front, just a couple people to thank. Grant, our guide in cheering, who you didn't see, but he had a rope tied to Joel and Phil so they didn't fall backwards off the mountain when they were filming. And everyone else at Yamnuska Mountain Adventures, is just awesome for them to get that all set up for us. And of course, the ever wonderful Lisa Bellinger, who is another one of those people, just like Phil, is when I ask her to do crazy things, she says yes for some reason. And so thank you again, Lisa, for being a part of that trip as well. Man, there's so many things that come out of that as I'm watching it. So I'm excited to chat with Ashley if she's ready. Come on out when you are ready. Or I could tell one more story. Oh, Joel. Joel, actually, his nickname on this episode was Baby Giraffe, because, you imagine someone 6'6", walking down a mountain. It looks like a baby giraffe learning to walk. It was super fun, actually. So yeah, we'll come on out. Here we go. Here's Ashley. All right. Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, man, so many things I think about as I watch it. There was such a big trip, I think, for all of us. I mean, one of the first things was how physically exhausting that was up that mountain for all of us. However, for you, tell us a bit more about your background and your fitness level.
Yeah, it was. We skipped the hard part, so it was a super reasonable day for me in some ways.
No, she's an ultra marathoner, and so we crawled back into camp, and Ashley's like, oh, I think I'm gonna go for a trail run tomorrow morning. And we're just like, are you kidding me right now?
But
yeah.
it was good though, because usually I don't participate in sports where I have to wear a helmet, so it was a bit of a stretch.
It's still so it puts you in that way, yeah. And of course. We put the episode online. The first message I get from Ashley is, did you have to start with my whimper? So we actually named that ledge that she's climbing up, that really scary ledge, we named it Ashley's Whimper. And Grant, the mountain guide, promised us that he would use that with every client he took up the mountain from now on. So.
And Lisa summited it, and she got Lisa's brilliance.
Yes, yeah. Lisa also got something named after her, and it was a little nicer than Whimper. But it's sort of cool to think that you're part of that mountain now, and for everyone else, it goes up it. So, I mean, there's so many other things that we talked about there, but I think obviously that, that really meaningful conversation we had around the campfire, something that stuck out to so many people in the comments online and also just to me, right? I remember that being a really big moment of the conversation. And it sort of shows how difficult those daily decisions are for you. And so I guess the question is, we talked a little bit about how to try and share the decision-making load with people. And after coming back from that, what has that been like for you? Have you been able to find some ways to share that load a little bit?
So the timing was just really great because we got some new funding for a new person to help us for 40 hours a week, which is the most funding we've ever had.
Wow.
And it was great going into this new period with this experience. So I don't grocery shop anymore.
Wow.
I don't cook dinner. I have no idea what's in my fridge. And that's been really great. Still haven't done my taxes, but I do, or I have had some capacity to prioritize some other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been really good, and also discovered as well that I thought it was going to be this fix, and then we could go back to life as it was a while back, and the recognition that no, actually, it's where we need to be, and we need that level of assistance, and that's been our process too.
Yeah, to recognize that, you know, that level of assistance is actually required.
Yeah,
right? And
totally.
I know, because one of the things, you know, Ashley's, you know, she's very accomplished, you know, in her field, research assistant, works at Children's Hospital, right? You know, like. And I think for many people who have accomplished a lot in their life, you know, thinking about having someone do daily tasks, you mentioned on the trip, that was hard for you, right? To sort of acknowledge that you might need some extra support when you're used to doing it all yourself. And so, you know, like, now that you have this caregiver, you know, we talked a bit more about the things about helping us live. Right? Not just staying alive, but helping us live. You know, have you been able to plan a little bit more about activities that you guys could do together to sort of focus on the living side of things?
Not so much together. I think we were doing a lot of that to begin with. We laughed so much on this trip, and it really reminded me how isolated we had become. So actually it's kind of been the reverse, just reminding me to actually make the time to nurture some of those connections and see people in my life for myself, but also for her as well. So time away from me and time to do
for
other
her to
things
make her own
too, right?
friends and do her own thing.
That's right.
Yeah. That's part of living. And I think, you know, I love how you said for you know, cultivating relationships for yourself, right? And I think that's something that a lot of caregivers have a difficult time doing, right? And prioritizing, because they're making so many decisions about caregiving. Deciding, you know, who they're going to call to see if they can have a coffee is just another thing to add to the list, right? So I love that you're doing that. I mean, that's really cool. And I mean, Ashley mentioned we laughed a lot. There, I have this thing when I get really exhausted that everything is so funny. I don't know if you guys get that too. I mean, little kids get it. I still
No,
get
it
it
actually was funny.
Yeah, okay, it was funny. Okay, that's great to hear, because you were not tired, but me and Joel were sitting around the bonfire with Ashley, and we laughed for probably about 45 minutes, and my stomach hurt the next day. Like, I'd never laughed that hard, like, in like a couple years, and I think you mentioned you hadn't either. And man, that was just a really good reminder for me. You know, to make sure that there's lots of moments of joy in the midst of the difficult things, right? And to value those. And that campfire conversation will go down in history with Caregivers in the Wild as one of the most ridiculous of all time. And I think that's, maybe we won't share the jokes in a pre-recorded thing that will be shared online. However, Ashley is really funny when she gets around a campfire and drinking lots of hot chocolate, just so you guys know. So you know, apart from that moment around the fire, you know, it's something we talked about that you took away from the trip, and so did I. You know, what's one other thing that you maybe took away from this experience that that you know, that maybe didn't make it into the episode, or you know, something that sticks with you?
Oh gosh, I was thinking about that when you were asking everyone else. I had really great answers. 15 minutes
when
ago.
you were right there, yeah.
That's right, when I was right over there. No, I think honestly, the big takeaway for me was to take time doing other things, and really prioritizing that, which I often don't. The other thing that really resonated with me, as I was very familiar with the concept of decision fatigue, I didn't realize there were 2 levels below that. So just knowing about decision paralysis and having a name for it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, decision paralysis. Lisa talked a little bit about that. We couldn't put it all in the episode, but yeah, you know, like that feeling of being stuck, And I mean, I heard you laugh when you're trying to get the ice axe out of the snow, and stuck, right? And you're talking about feeling stuck. And man, there's lots of moments, I think, in life, where you literally are like trying to move on to the next thing, but you can't get unstuck from where you are. And I thought that was a really cool metaphor, from the experience, right? Of literally trying to get ourselves unstuck when we've got this decision paralysis as caregivers. And so I know a lot of people online really appreciated the idea of decision fatigue. For you, it wasn't maybe something entirely new, but for a lot of people it is. And just that idea of being stuck because and not being able to make decisions because you make too many and too big of decisions continually, I know has changed a lot of people's perspectives. Yeah, sorry, you were about to say something.
Oh, there's another thing too.
You remembered. All right,
I
great.
did remember another thing. So the doing of something hard that was different. So your brain. There are so many things.
I know there's so many.
And then just also the experience of being out on that ice and knowing how much it had changed and something that was possible 3 weeks before was no longer possible, and that the environment is just changing, and you just have to kind of meet it where it's at, because that glacier is not coming back, that opportunity is not coming back, and it was still, it wasn't what we expected, it wasn't what we planned, but it was still really great, and it was important to witness that change too.
Yeah, we had to make that choice. That's partly why we called it Nature of Choices, right? Is because we had to decide. We were all geared up for this big, long ice climb up that glacier, and we show up there, and it wasn't there, and it was a month earlier. And for Grant, it was a big moment. It was also a bit of a moment for us too, when we a bit of an existential moment where we realized that glacier was there a month ago and it's gone now. And I know we had a few conversations about that, the way that things are changing really quickly out there in the outdoors, and how, sometimes that's another thing that can weigh on you, as you're already have so much on your plate, right? So, okay, last thing. Just gonna make sure I ask you all the questions I wanted. Oh, I asked them all. When's your next ultra running experience?
I'm not
Do you
sure.
have one on the calendar?
So next year I'm running little teeny ones.
Yes.
Just little teeny, like 20s, 30s. But I think 2025 is going to be the Canadian Death Race.
Canadian
And now
Death Race.
And
Did
now,
you guys say that? Canadian
now
Death
it's
Race?
on the internet, so I've said it out loud.
Yes,
so.
you've said it out loud. All right.
My first big
Well,
one.
hey, we'll be cheering you on from a distance to Ashley surviving the death race. Here we go. Yes. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Ashley. Yeah. Super cool. Man, I just couldn't believe, that she thought she was going to go for a trail run the next day. We were so exhausted. And especially another shout out to Joel and Phil for hiking giant video cameras up that mountain also. It was amazing. So, well, there we have it. Caregivers in the Wild, Season 2. Thank you guys all for being here and being part of this. There's something really special about doing this live with a group of people who care for and love the people on the screen. And so thank you for being a part of that community tonight. And the way that you support them allows them to support others. I think that's one thing that I've learned over and over and over again is, just like Cheryl was saying, those ripples, right? And in a caregiving situation, the many ripples of people that need to be involved to support someone, it's not just one person like we saw in the episode, it's a whole community. And so you guys are part of that community. And now you're going to be taking all these stories with you into your own communities. And we just hope that you're able to glean some piece of wisdom from tonight that you can maybe apply to your own experience or the people in your life that you might be supporting, or the caregivers that you may know. So please feel free to share the series. Just have them search Caregivers in the Wild online. We're the only thing out there called that. I wonder why. Sort of a... people, maybe it seemed like a random idea to some. It made lots of sense to me. But yeah, please search Caregivers in the Wild. Share that with friends and family. And feel free to follow along as we continue to share about these episodes. And you guys don't know this yet, but on February 22nd, we're going to be doing a live online screening with Caregivers Alberta. We're going to bring a bunch of people there. We're also going to be doing some screenings with the National Caregiving Coalition. We've got all sorts of things lined up. And like I said, the caregivers who are here tonight don't know it yet, but they're going to be doing a lot of public speaking. So this was a very good warm up. We have a wonderful audience like you guys here. So let's give one more round to all the amazing caregivers, and we'll see you all again at some point. Great.